the entire customer journey from, the first time you interact with them to when they land on your website. And what is that? Did you see that?
What?
Did you see the thumbs up?
No.
Oh my God. I was just like, what the heck?
I'm just trying to guess on most of what you're saying.
Great. Awesome. This will be fun.
Wow, wow, I got that wow, wow. Anything that I want, I'ma get it now. Yeah, wow, wow.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Clickworthy Conversations, brought to you by The Marketing Perspective. I'm your host, Maureen Mo Connors, and my co-host, MD Michaela Klein. Today, we are diving into a topic submitted by one of our listeners, and it's all about conversion optimization and why it's not a nice to have, why you need to convert browsers into buyers without sounding like a pushy salesperson. So maybe we start off, MD, with talking about what is conversion optimization. It's not just A/B testing your CTA. It's more than that.
So much more than that. And there are so many different, variables that contribute to conversion and getting people to convert. It's not just an instance in time or one channel. It's all the way through, retention and retaining them. Conversion optimization just sounds like making sales, but it's definitely way more than that.
Right. I think it's about how do you take your traffic, whether it be to your website or your store or something else, and how do you guide people through the journey of becoming a customer, right? Like taking that sale and then all the way through to becoming an advocate so that they're then creating a flywheel to bring even more customers in. So I really think conversion optimization is about that end-to-end journey, like you said, and how are you sort of guiding customers through the process at each and every step. I think one of the biggest things is there's probably websites that get a ton of traffic, but if it's not converting, it's pretty much useless.
Mic drop moment. It really starts with two main things. If we're talking about web specifically, I think it's the user experience, making sure it's frictionless. There's a minimal amount of clicks to take an action, but it also has to do with your messaging, your hierarchy, making it easy for the user to understand what you're selling, how it's going to benefit them, most importantly, but also at the same time, the best user experiences are the ones that users don't even notice. If I don't have a complaint about the application or the purchase experience, that's a great user experience because it's that easy and that seamless for me to get from one place to the next.
I think that's huge. I do think a clunky UX is probably one of the first things that turns customers off, right? If I land on your website and the next step that I need to do to convert is not clear to me, or the reasons why I want to take a next step isn't clear to me, I'm most likely going to abandon. I'm not going to come back and then say, oh, well, let me dig a little bit deeper. I don't have the time when I'm thinking about purchase decisions. There's probably another company that offers the same thing and probably has a better user experience. There's so much competition out.
Yeah. And I mean, just because it's pretty doesn't mean it's going to work. It needs to be clear and simple and the minimal amount of clicks that it can be for me to take that action that you want me to take. Regardless of how I'm getting to your website, I should know within the first 3 seconds that I'm there what you offer, how it benefits me, and how I can get that product or apply for that service. Because anything else is immediately going to turn me off. And to your point, there's someone else that is doing that.
I think I've mentioned before, I'm a late night scroller through social media and see the ads, and I'm tempted. I'm tempted all the time by the ads. If I see an ad that says one thing and I click to the website and it doesn't connect to the ad, I'm immediately Xing out. So I'm your traffic, but I'm your traffic that's abandoning. And chances are I'm not coming back no matter how many times you represent me the ad because I've had that bad experience.
This is why it's so important to connect your teams and be cross-functional and integrated, because you're thinking about just the apply funnel or just the shop journey or the post-purchase, and they all work together. You have to think about what action comes before, what's coming after, where are they coming from, what are they seeing, what messaging are they getting, to make sure that all of that is tied together so that I understand I'm here for the right thing. I clicked on what I wanted, and I'm likely not going to come back again if I have that first time bad experience of everything being mismatched and disconnected.
Might be a little outdated, but one that came to my mind was I got an email from an airline. And it was basically like super cheap flights to Europe. It was like $250 flights to Europe. I got excited. We have a wedding coming up in Spain. I clicked on that and it took me to a page that had all full price flights to Europe. I mean, immediately I was like, so how do I get to the $250 flights, right? Like, how do I get there? Is there a sale button? I couldn't tell. So I wound up just Xing out of it. And the funny thing is it's an airline I don't often fly. If I'm going to go to Spain, there's a bunch of ways I can get there. I might have given this airline a try if the flights were reasonable, but now I'm probably not going to go back, even if they send me another email, because that experience was so bad.
They lost their shot with you. You know, like they had that one time to engage with you, to win you over with this great deal. But then as soon as you clicked on it, having that disconnected experience is where so many customers fall off. I don't think necessarily that people are thinking through that entire piece. A lot of times we miss that. The other important piece is the clarity of the messaging. If there was some other information or banner on the site, like maybe they didn't send you to the right landing page, but another way for you to get there, because then you're searching around and then you're like, I just wasted my time. I couldn't find it for what? I think the clarity of where you're sending your users to make sure that it's functional and impactful and works hard for you is so important when you think about how to get people to convert.
It has to match. I see ads all the time that say like up to $400 in savings, right? And I actually was just looking at skate sharpeners for my son, and it was like, $400 in savings when you get a bundle, right? And the bundles are like $1,200. And I go in there and it's like free shipping. But where's the $400 in savings? Like it still costs the same,
right?
And so they send me all these emails, but the experience isn't changing. So, I mean, I haven't purchased yet, and I don't know if I will, or I'll go to somebody else. To me, it's just so important that like your marketing team and then your product teams doing stuff with the website, like you said, they have to be connected, which I feel like is a theme that we talk about literally all the time. We've got siloed organizations that are just not bringing teams together for initiatives and having those conversations and taking a look at the end-to-end customer experience.
Yeah. Marketing is UX now. Every component needs to be taken into consideration. The other piece is you need to think about your segments and audiences when it comes to conversion optimization. You need to think about who you're talking to and make sure that you're talking to them in the specific way that they've engaged with you before. So are they a brand new person that's never engaged with your brand? Are they someone who's coming back to your website as a second customer, or someone who has either abandoned their cart or been previous decline or withdrew an application from something? Like, where are they in your segmentation? You don't want to be shouting the same message to the sea of customers that's visiting your website. That's not good marketing. That's just annoying. That's just like, wow, this website doesn't care enough to make my experience personalized to me and my relationship with the brand. And I think more and more customers are expecting that personalized relationship now, especially with AI.
I agree. There's a lot of quick wins to your point out there on what people can do to optimize, right, their conversion in the funnel. I think there's tools. So, if somebody came to me and said, what can I do to fix my funnel? We're getting a lot of people abandoning. We don't know why. I mean, it's using tools like Full Story, right? Where you can actually watch the customer behavior in the funnel. Heat maps is another one, right? Where are they spending time sort of staring at the screen? That could be an indication that this piece is confusing to customers. And if they're clicking out after, or if they're abandoning on a certain page, like that means there's something there that you need to address. And sort of watching that customer interaction, talking to your customers, right? Having people go through your funnel. I mean, there's a lot that you can do there with just taking a look and using some of these tools to sort of help you diagnose your problem.
You bring up a good point there of like understanding where they're falling off. When we think about funnels, they can be so complicated, going through through step by step. You want it to be a one click, like Amazon is way too easy to buy things. I probably have a box arrive at my house every single day because it's easy. It's so easy for me to do and it's so accessible. So making sure that the customer knows kind of upfront what that application process is going to be like, how long it's going to take. Do they need any documents up front? Because a lot of times if you need to provide bank statements, especially in the financial industry, bank statements, employment information, and anything like that, I don't have that on hand. I'm going to have to go get that. So I may fall off there. Whereas if I can put in my estimated salary up front to pre-qualify for something, you're more likely to get someone to do that versus asking for everything up front, asking for too much information, not having it readily available. And then I'm like, that's just too much work for me. I'm not going to do it.
Until they see the value of what they're getting, I don't think you should be asking really for a ton of stuff. You just can't.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
The other thing, and this is sort of touching back on what you said earlier, is because teams are disconnected, like landing pages often live within marketing teams, but then funnels, right? Because there's a lot of like connections to back-end data, things like that, they live within product. And, you can spend a lot of time as a marketing team changing your upfront messaging, changing everything else, but not necessarily connecting it through the funnel or even taking marketing assets and putting them in the funnel, right? I've seen a lot of like hover links and things like that, but not everyone wants to read that. If you've got difficult terms or something that's maybe new to the market, like think about alternatives to just a little info button with hover. Like, is there a short video that you could put in there that could, help customers where you could actually talk to them about the benefits rather than just having them read for themselves and it's very similar marketing copy? Like, think about alternate ways to show that benefit information to kind of get them over the hump.
I think even educational and more informative information, like not only the benefits, but where to find some of this stuff, where to get your car title or find your VIN number. I remember putting infographics in the funnel because that was guiding the user to be able to more easily fill out that application. But I think there's also tools out there that can scan your VIN number so it easily can go into the funnel. Or I always love when I'm in an experience and I'm able to scan my credit card or automatically use Apple Pay and I don't have to manually insert that information. People want simple these days. Anything manual, anything that takes a little bit of work or a little bit of time is just that extra step, that extra hassle where you ultimately lose people. So I think anything that you can do to simplify the experience, make it clear, easy to understand, and minimize those steps is really what's going to help get people to ultimately take that action you want them to take.
It's interesting. So, you're talking about your information, right? Your data is so precious. I think that's why people like aggregator sites, right? So whether you're going for credit card or a loan or insurance, right? People go to these aggregator sites and instead of going from like site to site to site to check out what you qualify for, what the pricing is, everything else, like these aggregator sites, you key in your data one time, it sends it off and it gets you all these offers, right? I think companies are like, why do they keep going to aggregators? I wish they would just come directly to my site. You haven't built it that way. People want it to be simple enough that they could just see and compare and contrast their offers. And they want to be able to do that with just one form.
Yeah, absolutely. If I have the option to apply, if we're speaking about the financial space, specifically like loans and lending, if I have the option to apply for multiple loans, one application, some upfront questions, maybe I own a car or a home for a different type of loan, I can see the full spectrum of offers that I may or may not be eligible for. And then if I'm interested, I will then put in whatever information is necessary. I can look up what documents do I need, what information do I need to provide to be more prepared. But at least that way, I apply once and get all my offers. If I have to apply individual times, I am going to go to an aggregator because, again, it's easier for me and it makes my life simple and doesn't take as much time.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other things that I believe is really worth testing is, as people go through the funnel, sometimes you're just thinking about like, here's the fields that I need. but there's space within the funnel that can keep customers going. And so one of the things that I saw in a recent purchase I made is they actually had customer testimonials along the bottom, right? Like that social proof. So as I was going through, if I'm doubting, I'm looking down at this. I think the score was like 4.8, right? And it had different customer testimonials as I was going through about how this product helped them, about all this stuff. And so it was almost following me around. It wasn't the same one, each one. It was like every new step had a new version of like a customer who was really satisfied with the product, you know, and how many reviews there were in the score. And it was really helpful to me because I was like, oh, well, this could be worth it. Like there's so many satisfied people. So I do think like infusing, you know, past customers, wins that you've had, customer testimonials, like people believe that stuff, especially if it's coming from, you know, like a Trustpilot review or someplace else where it's a verified review. It's not, you know, the company saying like, oh, our website is the best. It's so great. But I do think those customer testimonials tend to stand out. And sometimes like when you see that in those reviews, it can help you kind of get over that purchase hump.
Absolutely. And we had done testing in the past just to see what kind of accolades resonated the most with customers. And it wasn't those awards or Better Business or A+ rating. It was the Trustpilot and the customer reviews. So people really trust other people's reviews and experiences that they've had with a brand versus an award that someone could have potentially paid for. Who's judging that?
I think one of the other ways to optimize is, you know, we did say it's beyond changing the color of your button or doing some regular A/B testing. If you can do it, I think people really should be including the ability for multivariate testing into their websites. Like you should be able to test the combination. Does this headline work with this CTA? Does this image work with this headline? Like being able to quickly learn and have different combinations shown. You know, if you have the traffic for your website, you can very quickly get to a combination that works and that is going to increase and drive your conversion more than just an A/B test or one where you're, you know, putting something up for a period of time and then you take it down, then you put something else up and you're reading it. Like there's so much loss there, and the systems are getting smarter, and AI basically can just churn through all of these different combinations. It can quickly say, this is a loser, let's chuck it, right? This image is a loser, nobody's clicking on it, let's chuck it. So, I mean, I really do say, like, if you can move past A/B testing to more of a multivariate testing capability, I think you will find that you are able to optimize your funnel much quicker.
I would just build off of that and do that across your segments as well, not just a broad sweep of messaging. Sure, you can do that from like a high level brand perspective of what's resonating with customers, but I think being able to speak to those different audiences based off of where they are in their journey and their relationship with you is also going to help you convert and maintain that relationship post-purchase or post-abandonment.
I think that's right. Every touch point matters with a customer, right? It's like your social posts, you know, what you have on your landing page, the presentation of the funnel, what you do if they abandon, what you do if they convert, right? Every single one of those things matters. Like your top of funnel messaging before they get there sets the tone for what customers expect. So if they're coming from a piece of marketing to your landing page, that message better connect. And if it doesn't, like you're going to lose people.
It not just connect, it's got to work hard for you. If it's just some fluffy, cute brand messaging, it might be nice. It might give you like a little wink and smile, but I think at the end of the day, it needs to encourage customers to take that next step and resonate with them and their situation and not just be brand voice. Brand can hurt conversion in that way.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the other things that I think about, particularly around email, because we have a tendency just to blast emails. Here's your rate, here's this, here's that. Like there is the ability to really change that up and think about how are you nurturing customers on their way to get to the sale. Maybe one of them is like a hard hitting message of here's what you could save by getting this product. Maybe another one is focused on a customer testimonial that is more personal. Maybe there's another one that's even shorter that's just about tips or education in the space, right? Like I think you have to use email as not just like a pushy sales tactic, but a way that you're nurturing your audience and caring carrying them through and getting them to really believe like what's in it for them.
I think it's that aspect of building trust and positioning you ahead of competitors that are offering the same or very similar things. Like, why should I go with you versus someone else? What additional piece are you offering? Or is it that seamless experience? Is it that funnel that's more unified and gives me multiple offers like aggregator sites? Is it education? Are you helping me through? Do I feel like I'm getting guidance? Feel like I'm supported? Nurturing is so important in every aspect of the customer journey. Even after someone becomes a customer and ultimately converts, your experience behind the login, the dashboard, your account, and member experience can't drop off there either. You need to be consistently thinking about the entire experience when you're thinking about conversion optimization.
Oh, 100%. It's less expensive to retain a customer than to get a new customer, right? That's just like business 101, marketing 101, right? If you can convert all of these customers, but your inside user experience or your follow on, your onboarding journey, everything else is clunky and not user friendly, they're not going to come back, right? If you don't make the customer feel appreciated for doing business, especially if you're offering a product that's not differentiated, that they could find everywhere else, they're not going to come back to you because it's not a good experience. So you really want to make sure when you think about that end to end, like post-conversion matters. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that engagement and how you talk to them and how you follow up with them after that gets them to come back the next time that they have a need.
I think the other piece is desktop, mobile, and then if you have an app, all of those experiences need to be connected as well. Because if you as a business are investing in building an app or optimizing some different piece of your experience and it doesn't connect with what customers are already familiar with and used to, you get used to this nomenclature, the visual, like you muscle memory, you learn the system. If your new app or experience doesn't connect with that, you're not going to have users adopt that new experience. You're going to have people stick with what they're used to, what they're familiar with. If you're using different ways to communicate your bill is due, different notifications, all of those pieces, they're little details, but they're things that matter to a customer. And if they're confused, they don't know where to find things, you're not going to have people embrace your new application, and then you're just wasting money as a business.
The one thing I will say is if a customer comes to your website, right, and maybe it doesn't connect, like don't give up there, right? Retargeting is so important, but your retargeting has to add some type of value. If I put a shirt in my cart, let's say, or if I put the skates, I know we're talking about the skates, like in my cart, but then I leave it. A good company is following up, and I know I'm going back to social proof. Hey, we saw that you put this in your cart, but you didn't complete. Here's what customers are saying about this product and what should convince you, right? And maybe direct me to some customer reviews that I could see. Make it relevant to the behavior that I have. I think that when those types of steps happen, customers will open it up. They will look. And you know what? Maybe I was nervous that the shirt wasn't going to fit, but I look and I see people with my body type who've posted images, right? And maybe that gets me over the hump. And then I make that purchase. You have to retarget, but you have to retarget with purpose. So what was the behavior before? If I got to a page like for a financial product or for something else, and I saw the pricing and I abandoned, maybe then what you come back to is something else that says, here's how customers saved money with this, right? And almost spin it to, here's why it's worth paying this price for things. Here's how you save. Go back to my skates too. Sure, it's $1,200 for the skate sharpener, but it's $12 every time I get my son's skate sharpened, and he needs his skate sharpened every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? So like in the end, the math works out. So it's like help people do the math. If they're walking away at price, if they're walking away at cart, show them the value. It goes back to like, where are customers leaving in the experience? If you know where they're leaving, then you know how to retarget them, and you know how to retarget them effectively with a message that hopefully resonates and gets them to come back.
First of all, I love everything about what you said. When you think about the messaging piece, make sure that reasons to give customers a little bit of confidence to get over that hump are clear and visible and upfront. If you offer free returns, you might be willing to take a chance on the shirt or the skates, or if you're not happy in 90 days or something, you can cancel your membership. Whatever that messaging might be, make sure that that's upfront, because I'm more likely to give you a shot if I know that I can get my money back or I can return something if it doesn't work. But if I'm stuck or it's buried, I might be more hesitant to take that chance. So I think making sure anything like free trials, without having to put your credit card in because you're like, oh, that is not free. I'm going to forget about this and I'm never going to cancel. Anything like that is upfront and visible and highlighted, because then the customers are just like, okay, you're going to let me test drive this and I will give you a shot, versus the next person that's doing something similar.
Yeah, I love that. It makes it so relevant, but you're using the benefits that you've probably touted in other places, but almost bringing it up. And maybe free returns in your brand message hierarchy is the fourth message, because maybe what people care about is something else. But if a customer's abandoned because they're not sure, having free returns then rise to the top during an abandonment, maybe it's a different mindset that the customer's in, and that gets them over the hump. Being a bit flexible and understanding like where the customer is in the journey and then how that impacts your message hierarchy is a fantastic point. I love that.
And that's Amazon, right? Like that's why it is so easy to do business with them, because I can buy something really easy, but I also know that post-purchase, my return process is also going to be easy. Maybe not so easy for my husband who has to take everything to the store and return it, but I know what I'm getting into and I know what to expect from the experience and how easy it is. So I think highlighting things like that in your messaging is super important.
No, I love that. I think that's huge. We talked about a bunch today. The biggest thing for people to take away is conversion optimization doesn't always have to be either on a marketing side or a product side, right? Like it is about the end-to-end experience, and it is about making sure that your experience is connected. It's clear what the benefits are. It's consistent to the best that you can, make it frictionless. I know there's a lot of ways that you can't, but also making sure that you're not just generating traffic to your site and when they abandon, doing nothing with it. You need to retarget with purpose. And the way that you retarget with purpose is by leveraging tools like FullStory to understand where they're abandoning, why they're abandoning, how they're abandoning. So then you can target those customers for where they are in their journey with a message that hopefully brings them back and converts. Small changes in your funnel, whether it's adding clarification, double checking that your messaging is connected, can actually lead to big results that drives conversion. We've seen it time and time again. For our listener who recommended this, hopefully this was really, really helpful for you and you got some nuggets to take away. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Visit us at marketingperspective.com to submit any questions you may have. Subscribe, like, do all the things. We appreciate your loyalty and thank you.